Hello and welcome to another edition of Real Talk. Well, it seems that APRA and ASIC are really hell-bent on slowing down our property market at the moment. I think just about every front page of every newspaper around the country is talking about the banks at the moment and their regulatory bodies. So just to give you a really good summary on what's happening, the concerns for the government at the moment are the correlation between the housing prices, the debt that we're taking on to buy houses at the moment in relation to the low wage increases. If you look at the last couple of years, there's been very, very little increase in wages. In fact, it's one of the lowest increase periods for some decades. So we've also got unemployment. Whilst we've had ups and downs and it's waxed and waned with unemployment, the government's still not happy that we've got the growth that we need. So we've got very low inflation, low growth rate in wages, and we've got high debt. So those sorts of things are becoming sort of concerns. So I decided to make a list on all the changes that the government has taken on recently to try and slow down the property market. Are you ready for this? I've had to write that down. Sorry. So first of all, we had the government change the lending policies. So we were serviced at 7.2% instead of current markets. That slowed things down a little bit. We've probably only had 2 or 3 clients affected in the last 12 to 18 months on that one. They then gave the Asian investors that were buying mostly in the city, so offshore FIRBs, were penalised an extra 3% of stamp duty. And if you work out the stamp duties on average 5%, they were really, an extra 60% on the stamp duty. That didn't work, so they slogged them another 60% on top of that. So we had some more changing in lending policies that came about. They've scrapped stamp duty savings off the plan. In a bid to drive the market for first-home buyers, they gave the first-home buyers all of the discount and investors full stamps as of July 1. I find that interesting because in all the time here at Solid, we've had 2 or 3 first-home buyers buy off the plan. And in theory, first-home buyers buy off the plan anyway when they buy a house and land package, so they really haven't done much there at all. So I really, as I said earlier, think it's more of a tax grab. That's fine. Borrowing policy is changing yet again. So what the government now wants is the lending institutions can only have 30% of their bank books on interest-only loans. Currently it's at about 42% interest-only loans. So they're going to actually cut that by 25%. But here's the thing, I noticed that the Reserve Bank Governor made a comment in the Fin Review today, in fact, that Australia is the only country that has interest-only loans with offset facilities attached to them. And I know just about every client here at Solid who has an interest-only loan has an offset facility. So in theory, they're kind of a quasi interest-only loan when you have an offset facility attached to them. But what just about all the roads that lead to the central point of a runaway market at the moment in the housing sector and the home sector I'm talking about, which is people buying and selling their existing homes, that is where we are seeing an absolute boom at the moment. But when you speak to these people, they want to be close to transport, close to amenity and close to the shops and have work-life balance. They don't want to be on a train for an hour to an hour and a half. So when you really analyse a lot of the growth we're seeing in the home market at the moment, it's due to lack of infrastructure outside of the donut and outside of the metropolitan ring. So I really think it's quite interesting. I think it's back to the government now. We're being taxed more and more and there's less infrastructure happening, and it's actually the lack of infrastructure that's driving the boom. I'm going to close on a very interesting note for apartment investors at the moment. With the cancelling of off-the-plan stamp duty savings for investors, I suspect that we're going to see a massive slowdown in the building industry, which does concern me because we've got 333,000 workers in the building industry. But most developers actually need to pay cash for the land and have 80% pre-sold of their apartments or townhouses before they can roll with construction finance. I would say we might see a bit of a slowing in that, which I think will push apartment prices up. So stay tuned. Let's keep reviewing the market and turning over our investments and looking at them from every which way. But thanks for listening, and see you next week.